Happy Sunday. This is Robert. This is going to be a take on stuff that both men and women deal with in dating. Um, this is inspired by something I read from one of my friends. What she communicated and what she posted, it was on Facebook, was that it was inspired because men are not accepting of women because they're quote unquote not supermodels, tens, they don't have perfect bodies, and like that's less attractive than somebody who would have a quote unquote perfect body. And she was kind of like proclaiming like about accepting herself and being okay if men don't accept her. And I think that's something that's legitimate that women have to deal with. Men have to deal with it in a different way, and that's what I'm going to talk about. What I'd like to start out with is just gathering my thoughts. I think when you're in a relationship, and I'm going to there's types of deal breakers that everyone has, or sometimes it's about expectations and when a person is supposed to change. And what I'm going to start with is good reasons to change in a relationship, that may be necessary. So, like, if you're in a relationship with someone and they're abusive to you, they're causing you to lose self-esteem. They're causing you to be in an unsafe situation. Physically abusive, verbally abusive. They're not loyal. They're not faithful. Uh, you know, um, they're an addict and they're out of control with their addictions. It's wreaking havoc on your life. I think it's a realistic expectation to expect that person to change that behavior. That's not unreasonable to ask. It's harming you. It's making you a worse of person. It's not. They're not in a good situation either. So to have an expectation or that's a deal breaker, you wouldn't date someone if they were to continue that behavior. That is 100% legitimate, absolute, uh, realistic, positive expectation of change. What I'm going to talk about is things that I deal with as a man and everyone deals with, whether gender it is men or women. Shallow deal breaker expectations. Like if I'm dating someone, I'm a man, I'm dating a woman, she's overweight, and I'm like, I'm gonna break up with you if you don't lose weight. Women are going to look at me and demonize me as like I'm a POS and I'm shallow, everything else, and maybe rightfully so, maybe rightfully not. But let me ask you something. If the shoe's on the other foot and a woman is going to stop dating me because of my penis size, for example, maybe the dude is not doesn't have what porn do, or it's not large in her. Like, why is that okay? Like, women never get crap for that. It's accepted. I think it's accepted by both men and women. You never hear women getting demonized for something like that. And like, why? Why is that? Why is she a good person and I'm a POS because I want my girlfriend to lose weight, or I'm not going to date her because of her breast size, or she's not a brunette or blonde. Those are shallow deal breakers, and for some reason, men are more trashy when they present those as opposed to women. Women also, the other thing is like if a woman won't date a man because of specific what he makes financially, well, why is that? Like women aren't bashed for that, but like, and men don't do that to women. Why? Because like if men rely on themselves financially, it's like if a woman makes a certain amount of money and it's not up to par with what a man is making, the man's going to look to make more money. This is my observation. This is my expectation. So it's like, it's not a deal breaker for most men. Maybe it could be, but generally, I'm just speaking in generalities here. Majority, if a woman doesn't make a certain amount of money, generally that could be a deal breaker. But by talking to just people in general, single men, that's not something that is, because generally men depend on themselves for financial type thing. So I mean, I'm talking about, like, I think these things are absolute. These things drive me crazy because it's like, it's I'm not a big shallow person. I become less and less shallow as I have gotten older. I mean, maybe like, maybe when I was younger, there was a shallow, like I talked to women who were pretty specifically, and then I found out like the consequences of that. And I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with physically attractive women. I'm not trying to put generalizations, but I think these shallow things that we all deal with, and we all have our own shallow deal breakers. I'm guilty of having my own, but I mean, I think, even for mine, it's like, even if like, say I liked brunettes, like, brunettes were somebody I really wanted to date, a brunette. What happens if an amazing blonde woman comes into my life and she hits all my other criteria except the fact that she's not brunette? Now, I'm not going to like tell her to change her hair color. I think that's stupid, it's selfish, and it's ridiculous. It's like I'm a very big person on acceptance, not accepting the things that I talked about in the beginning of the video that are unhealthy, accepting these shallow type things that we want somebody to change because they don't, because to get them to fit the person in our head. I draw back to my parents. My parents have been married for 44 years. Now, there's a bunch of different things that they do not like about each other. They verbalize, but with them, they've never had any expectation that people had to change, or that they either have had to change that. Like the things that they love about each other have always like kind of outweighed that. And I think that's I think if you're going into a relationship, a good rule of thumb is, if I'm going to ask you to do something for me, I better be willing to do it myself first. I think it sets a good example to the person that, I'm not just going to ask you to change and not be willing to do the same thing. And I think that's a good policy to have for like a healthy relationship. So I wanted to just talk about that and just put a take on that. Anybody who listens to this, feel free to have a different opinion or have your own take or be upset with mine. I say things, I know sometimes it is upsetting. Some people are not going to agree with it. Excuse me, that's the way life is. Not everybody agrees with you. But I just wanted to talk about that a little bit, and feel free to comment or respond. Okay, bye.